Hey everyone, before we get into the video, just a reminder, if you're looking to master any of these guns, the best place to do that by far is SkillCapped.com. Now let's get into the video. Alright, some of the guns in Valorant are quite frankly trash right now, and some of them are really strong. Over time, in fact, it seems some people are starting to favor one gun in particular over another one. Some of you may know what I'm talking about, but we'll get into that later. This is our current updated guns tier list for the most recent patch, so let's get into it. Starting out with our pistols, all of them actually finding themselves in a pretty comfortable place right now. With weapons like the Classic, you can find yourself some pretty easy frags with the right click at times, and with the Shorty, obviously you can do some pretty crazy things. Sheriff is many people's eco weapon of choice, and the Ghost isn't even terrible when you're in a bit of a pinch. Not to mention the Frenzy is quite literally the most accurate gun in the game on the run, so even there it has its uses. Some might be surprised to find the Frenzy higher than the Ghost on this tier list though, so let me explain. For the Frenzy and the Shorty, and even the Classic, all these weapons have their uses outside of eco rounds. You can take a Shorty as a secondary, and if the enemies get too close, you can catch them by surprise with your pocket shotgun. Same thing goes for if enemies are low HP, you could just jump around a corner with a Classic and right click them to finish the job. You can't do these things with the Ghost. Even with the Frenzy, you get the option to give them a quick drive-by, and although the Ghost is a great pistol weapon buy, unfortunately that alone doesn't set it apart for us. The Ghost is a strong eco weapon if you're super broke, but aside from that, there are not too many situations where I would use a Ghost over a Sheriff, and for that reason it finds itself a bit lower than the other guns. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you'll find that the Sheriff sits comfortably in the S tier, as this is an eco weapon of choice for so many players. You can quite literally win a round with just one good shot on the Sheriff, so that's why it needs to find its place so high on this tier list. Speaking of weapons that can win you rounds though, let's talk about the shotguns for a second. Excluding the Shorty, the two shotguns in the game are the BUCKY and the Judge. The BUCKY, after its nerfs an eternity ago, just hasn't really been relevant. Using this weapon almost feels like you're just committing to losing the round. While being an extra 50 credits more expensive than the Sheriff, it outputs basically the same amount of damage, assuming the target is any small distance away. Don't get me wrong, shotguns aren't supposed to be long-range weapons, but if the target's gotta be this close to me, I might as well just use a Shorty. The BUCKY is just not worth buying right now, and that being said, its counterpart, the Judge, can actually be really strong. In close quarters combat, this is a weapon to be feared. That being said, as time has gone on and the community has gotten better at the game, players have gotten a lot better at dealing with this weapon. When using the Judge now, you have to deal with drones, grenades, slow orbs, all sorts of flashes and stuns. It just all gets harder and harder to get kills with it at times. But I mean, hey, Daznarth hit Radiant using the Judge only on controller. So clearly the Judge is pretty strong. Even for agents like Raze and Jet, I'll find myself buying the Judge on buy rounds when my aim is feeling off. And the bad part about this is it's actually kind of viable. Keeping this in mind, there's no way we could place the Judge lower than A tier. We're not going to pull the trigger and say that this is an S tier gun right now, but the Judge is absolutely a viable weapon to run on any round in the game and pretty much on any map if you know how to use it. Speaking of viable weapons though, let's talk about the SPECTRE. The SPECTRE has found its place as pretty much the run and gun weapon of the game. Riot has said themselves they're not going to nerf run and gun, so just get used to it. This gun's damage output isn't anything crazy, but we've all experienced a player just Ferrari peeking us and ruining our day. Even when you have a rifle, it can be hard to anticipate this sort of wide swing, which makes it an incredibly viable weapon for bonus rounds and anti-ecos. That being said, when compared to its counterparts, it's just not quite as oppressive. The MARSHAL is absolutely disgusting right now, we'll talk about that later, and the Judge, as we mentioned, is practically a primary weapon. The SPECTRE feels like it has the same limiting factor as the Judge with half the damage that it provides. It's a good gun, it's a great eco weapon and can definitely carry over towards a bonus. But at long ranges, it's not as good as the MARSHAL, and at close ranges, it's not as good as the Judge. You might argue that medium ranges are its sweet spot, but to that I'd even bring up the Bulldog. And don't even get me started on the Stinger. This gun has no place in the game right now. Overall, it just really feels like SMGs right now need a bit of a buff. Now to talk about some heavier weapons though, starting out with the Ares. This gun did have its moment a few patches ago when it got buffed. At the time, it was laser accurate and fired super fast, but quickly that was nerfed, and with that, the Ares doesn't really nearly see as much play anymore. The recoil changes honestly impacted it quite a bit. It's a decent gun still, and it's cool that its multi-purpose allows it to shoot through walls that most guns can't, so that you can actually find a use out of it on bonus rounds. But that being said, if you get into a straight up fight with people while using the Ares, its damage output just feels way too low. You pretty much need to crouch in place to use this gun, and anytime that happens, you're just going to get one shot. The Odin, on the other hand, is a bit better. Its damage output obviously being higher, as it should be, and the heavy wall penetration provides the heavy machine gun actually a decent place in the current meta on many maps. Using the Odin, you can go for so many different wall bangs and just punish players for trying to peek all sorts of different areas. Wall spam mid-window on Haven, or B main on Ascent. These are two pretty common uses for it, but you can also wall spam here, and here, and here, and here. There are so many great spots for the Odin, and people really do tend to sleep on it a bit. It's not the best gun in the game, but it's got some actual reasons to choose it over a rifle, and for that it finds itself relatively high on our list. Now, we've only got a few weapon spots left, so let's get started on these scoped weapons, and then we'll move over towards the rifles. Both of our rifles this time find themselves in the S tier. Similar to our Sheriff, the Marshal is just a couple more credits, but basically is one of the best weapons that you can possibly have on an eco round. Using the Marshal, you can take advantage of the surprise factor versus enemies and land some really cheeky headshot kills. It's also not really that hard to do, and it can easily win you a round on eco for not even a crazy price investment. Think about it, your team is calling, they're on eco, they'll probably buy shotguns, so just play for long angles. Well, I don't know about you, but if I'm fighting someone from 30 meters away, I probably want a Marshal more than I want a Vandal. Even if you body shot the target, that's still 100 damage, which basically takes someone out of the round unless they have a Sage or a Sky to heal them. The Marshal is pretty crazy right now and definitely doesn't get the attention it deserves. Now, as for the Operator, we are currently in a double Operator meta. Jet players op, Chamber players op, and both of them are the most picked agents in the game right now. The Operator itself is incredibly punishing in matchmaking, and although we can use our utility to force them off the angle, your team can only play so thorough in matchmaking. Eventually, someone is going to swing an angle dry and get themselves killed when there is an Operator in play, and this is kind of the reason it's S tier. In the right hands, an Operator can completely take control of a game, and it's definitely not to be ignored. Finally though, this brings us to our rifles. Starting out with the Bulldog and the Guardian, they're both pretty mid. The Bulldog sees a bit more use than the Guardian, but given they're both pretty much the same price and do the same thing, it's kind of hard to really place one too far above the other. As for the Vandal and the Phantom, of course they both find themselves in the S tier, but a recent change of events puts the Vandal just a little bit higher than the Phantom right now. This is going mostly off of just the gun that it seems most players have been favoring recently. In lobbies Immortal and above, the Vandal is seeing significantly more kills than the Phantom, and this is a trend that has changed a bit over time. Everyone used to live and die by the Phantom, saying it was better in most situations, but it seems players over time have started to get tired of that 140 headshot damage. With the Vandal, you can always count on it to do exactly as much damage as you're expecting. With the Phantom, that's not always the case. While both obviously great choices for rifles, it seems people in higher ranks are favoring the Vandal quite a bit more, and for that we place it just a little bit higher on our tier list. That's all we got for our gun tier list though. Be sure to let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with our takes. Remember, this is all just our opinion, so if you still want to use the Stinger, that's fine. Just don't be upset with me when you get reported for griefing. Other than that, be sure if you're looking to master the game, then you check out SkillCapped.com. Between all of our agent courses made by actual Radiant one tricks, as well as our viewer-specific VOD reviews that are all available for you to view, you are guaranteed to find value. In fact, we are so confident in that we offer a rank improvement guarantee, meaning that if you don't improve while actively using our service, you'll get your money back, no questions asked. That's how confident we are that our service works, and if it doesn't work, you shouldn't pay. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to check out SkillCapped.com and get started on your journey today. Other than that, my name is King, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.